Very well, guys. So now that we have the blade ready in a very nice shape, like I wouldn't even call this a blocking. That's an actual model, right? We can start advancing on the volcano and use the blade as a reference to where all of the different parts are going to be like appearing. So the first thing that I'm seeing right here with the volcano piece, I want to just take a look at the wireframe. It's definitely a lot denser. I think we can definitely work with this, but I kind of want to go a little bit smaller. Let's see how we are. We're at the point. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna press Alt Q and just select this guy to make sure that we are working on the volcano itself. Yeah, as you can see, we only have 66,000 faces. That's way too few. So I'm gonna set this to 0.001, and let's give it a shot and see how high we go. Hopefully, we don't go as high. Oh, that's a little bit too much. As you can see, we've jumped all the way to 5 million faces. So let's bring this to 0.002. Almost there. There we go. So 1 million faces is a lot more manageable for this volcano shape. And yeah, now I'm just going to start with my clay strips, and I'm going to start working on the like a more specific shape. So as you can see, there's like a big bubble of lava right there, and I do think it might be a good idea to actually like sculpt it right here. Oh, it seems like I got the issue again with I opened After Effects, so maybe that one fricked my Blender as well. Give me just 1 second. There we go. So I'm going to be doing the lava. I'm going to be sculpting the lava inside of this element. So even though it's a different material, once we go into texturings, we're going to be able to texture this as if it was the lava itself. So I'm just going to do like a circle of or pool of lava. And one of the things that we're going to be able to do is make this lava as if it's like flowing into this crevices right here. So let's focus on this crevice, which is this one right here. As you can see, right at that side, we have a very triangular looking like mountain, which is this one right here. So I'm gonna grab my grab brush here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. I'm gonna push it up to get the triangular looking shape right there. And then of course with my scrape brush, I'm gonna start like making this more like a rock. You can even see that there's like a different like piece of rock right there. So I'm gonna start carving this one, and then with clay strips, we can create the other sort of like layer of mountain that we have right there. Again, the reason why we're keeping this piece symmetrical is because from a game perspective, you're never gonna see both sides of the axe at the same time. So we can save ourselves quite a bit of texture space by doing this symmetrically. And that way, the texture that each side is going to have is going to be twice as much as if we were to divide it into the two parts. There we go. Let me go back to clay strips and just keep sculpting. As I've mentioned before, this is personally one of my favorite parts of any project. The sculpting part is always very relaxing, especially if you're listening to some like lo-fi music on the background like I am. It becomes a very relaxing part of the process. Let's go with scrape again. Oh, let me go with that because I've drew a mask right there by accident. So just get rid of it. Scrape. There we go. So as you can see, I'm creating this sort of like layering effect on the stones. And we're going to be using alphas later on as well. So that's the first spike. Then right where this thing ends, like right around here, I can see another like big chunk of stone. So again, I'm going to go to my clay strips and start like doing this. Like creating the big stone that's going to be like that's the stone that's actually creating the flare out of the volcano. So I need to create like the root all the way going over here. Scrape again, and we can flatten this out and start giving it the the sort of like stone texture that we're looking for. You can see that there's a lava channel coming in this side, and it kind of stops like right around there. So again, I'm gonna use my clay strips to kind of like fill this in a little bit more. Smooth it out. And later on, if we need to draw like those like very thin lines, we can use the draw sharp, of course, to indicate that sort of like flow, right? We can also do this in texture, by the way. Like whenever you see a detail that does not change the silhouette, that's usually a detail that you can definitely like do in texture. But again, if you're gonna be 3D printing this, for instance, and I think I want to 3D print this, to be honest, like having as a little, I don't know, like a pen holder or something on your desk might seem like a good idea. You can see this piece right here. It has an interesting looking stone like right around there, and then a very long like flow of lava right there. So I'm gonna create the crevice there so that when we do some texture work later on, we can use that like that carving that I did there to fill it with lava material. We can of course smooth it out if it's too much. There's also the pinch brush, which is really good because it makes things a lot thinner. So for instance, that one, as you can see, we get that very, very thin line going over there. And then we have this weird stone. This is another like block right there. So again, with clay strips, I'm gonna be doing this right there. And what we want with this stone is to really create a delimitation on the facets, right? Because right now it just looks like a meatball. So I'm gonna go again with my scrape brush, and I'm gonna be very aggressive on this side of the stone, for instance, on this top part of the stone, and on this other side of the stone. And as you can see, that's what's gonna give us the faceted look that we expect to see with rocks. There we go. If we need to go clay strips again to do a little bit of sorry, draw sharp again, to do a little bit of carving, this is also the moment to do it. So all of the shapes that we're going for, all of these elements that we're like modifying, those are the we're in the secondary stage. Look at this. So a lot of lava flow coming from this part right here. So we got this first spike, and then there's another spike right here, and you can see how the lava is flowing in this area down, and it kind of like moves back, and it kind of moves back over here, and it pulls right around there. So here's where we have that like weird S-shaped stone. And this is like the triangular stone. So just filling all of this in. I can definitely see that this stone is a little bit more pointy towards this side. This is again where the grab brush is really useful, because we can use it to very aggressively change this. And now that part right there, we definitely need to carve out. So I'm gonna go again with clay strips and start carving out all of this area right here. So it really looks like the lava is kind of like overflowing in that direction. Go. Let's really make a deep like indentation there so that we can blend the lava bubble with this part right here. Once we have that, again, we go to scrape and we start strengthening the planes of this rock so that it looks a little bit more hard surfacey, and therefore we get a nice result. Later on, as I mentioned, we're going to be adding, similar to what we did with the handle, we're going to be adding a little bit of the alpha that we had to texture this more like stone. But you can look at that, and it can definitely start, it definitely starts reading like stone, right? So there we go. Control R. Let's do one Control R, even though it's going to take a little while. Sorry if my voice breaks down a little bit while this is happening, but the the recording thing struggles a little bit with both things happening at the same time. So there we go. Let's go with a draw sharp again, small size. And we're gonna use this to really carve in and properly capture the difference between the stones, right? Like we want each stone to be to read as a different element. That's if they were like being placed on that spot. Like we don't want them to look like they were just mushed together, but rather that through some like geological processes or whatever they got together. Then we have this stone right here. It's kind of like a heart-shaped stone. You can see it right there. Looks really interesting, so I kind of want to capture that one as well. I'm going to go clay strips. I'm going to remove a little bit of volume there. And then here, this stone kind of like pushes up and creates the nice little differentiation right there. Then on this side right here, this is very interesting because on this side, we start getting like ridges. So I'm going to add a ridge right there. And another one like right here. And then use the scrape brush to flatten them. I'm going to increase the strength of the scrape brush a little bit. Let's do 0.9. So it's a lot stronger. And then with the draw sharp, we can go in there and really create this sort of like, again, like a faceting thing going forward, kind of like a layer, right? You can see that will be like the first layer right there, and then there's a secondary layer right here. So I'm going to use my brush to create like the division first, and then with clay strips, I'm just going to start building it. And use again the scrape brush to flatten it out. Let's go back to our clay strips. Let's go back to our scrape. And there we go. So we start getting this sort of like layering effect. In that position or in that place, it is a little bit more obvious that this is symmetrical. But again, it's one of those like compromises that we sometimes have to do in games, because otherwise, like making everything asymmetrical, it is possible, but it takes way more resources, time as well. Like the time resources would definitely increase if we try to do that as well. So here I'm gonna use a draw sharp again to create a new sort of like a division here, and that way this starts looking like a bunch of different clusters of rocks that were like pretty much smooshed together to create a nice X. Let's use a draw sharp again to just properly, like this is the center line, this one right here. So let's just properly like draw the lava channel so that we understand where and how lava is flowing. And then this is the heart shape piece. So it's going to be another lava flow right here, goes to the sides and goes in there. I'm not super fond of this shape right here. Definitely need to work that one a little bit more. So I'm just going to add another like stone right there. There we go. That looks a lot better. And we can use a scrape to do that. Again, to separate these rocks, we're going to use a draw sharp. And we're going to start carving in all of this element. We're going to go for our clay strip again. And just add a little bit of texture to the stones. I know we're going to be adding the textures with the alphas as soon as we get there, but I feel like there's a lot of like interesting things happening here, and not that many interesting things happening here, which could, by the way, be a good thing as well, but not yet. Now, since we're already here, I know we've already gone to like the 15-minute mark, but I just want to show you something here. Let me turn off. Where is this one? It was a plane, right? This one. There we go. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna like add a little bit more volume all on this area. A lot of volume. And now when I turn on the blade, as you can see, this volume is eating into the blade. So what I'm gonna start doing here is I'm gonna use my my clay tubes to start removing these elements and then adding them back a little bit, as you can see right here, to create the overlap that makes this look like it's actually flowing into the axe. This is going to be very, very important. That's why we needed the blade before we were doing this sort of things, because eventually when we do the bakes, or the retopology rather, we're actually going to be combining the volcano and the axe into a single mesh. And then the bake, so all of this high poly that we have right here, is going to be projected down into the element. So here, for instance, I'm going to again use my clay buildup, or my clay strips, and we're just going to start adding all of this like rock detail. So those islands, right, like what we have on the concept, that's the kind of stuff that we want to like get in here. And we're getting it by hiding and bringing back this part of the axe. So for instance, you can see that going here through the center would have like this sort of like C-shaped thing. So I'm gonna carve in and bring this sort of like C-shaped thing. There we go. Down here there's this like cover. Look at this, very, very big piece as well, like covering that. So we're gonna be polishing a lot of these pieces, but you can see how by combining these two objects, we can give the illusion that this thing is actually flowing from one and the other. So there, let's bring some back. And we can start creating this sort of effect of the rocks poking out of the element. We're gonna modify them and clean them up a little bit on the next video. But that's the general idea. Look at that. Like this, like exactly how you're seeing it right here. Like even though they're two different objects, exactly how you're seeing it right here, this is what players are gonna see on the game. So that's why I'm focusing more on the small shapes, because I know that this like blending of the effects is gonna look quite nice later on. So I'm gonna stop the video right here, guys, and in the next one we'll just continue. We will continue working on the tertiary shapes here for the axe. Make sure to get to this point. Don't try to watch everything, because again, I'm telling you, you guys are gonna forget about certain things, and then it's gonna become a little bit difficult to do. So yeah, hang on tight, and I'll see you back on the next video.